realization that the book would not be destroyed as I had planned. It continued falling into that starry expanse of which I had only a fleeting glimpse. I've tried to speculate where it might have landed, but I must admit that such conjecture is futile. Still, questions about whose hands might one day hold my Myst book are unsettling to me. I know my apprehensions might never be allayed, and so I close, realizing that perhaps the ending has not yet been written.
Hey everybody, my name is Rydo, and today we are starting the beginning of the series for the game Myst in its 4th iteration, because it's a 20-year-old game. You probably saw my recording before this in which we compared the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th iteration and determined that the newest is the best to play in modern computers at least. And so this is called realMyst Masterpiece Edition, and that's kind of all we need to know right now. I have played this game before. I do know the solution to everything, but we're not going to do anything super crazy. I'm just going to play the game in a slightly accelerated path and not spoil any of the story if I can avoid it. I'm not even sure if I'm capable of spoiling the story. I'm not sure I 100% even understand it after 20 years of being a fan of this game. I can tell you that Myst is also this island, or at least the world that this island is in, and so that's one prime example of where I don't even know which is the actual truth of it, whether the island is called Myst Island or the world that the island is in is called Myst. But the main concept here is this is a giant puzzle world, very complicated puzzles, kind of hard, and you get there through these books called linking books. So, as we saw at the beginning, the guy was falling down a crack in the sky, and he touched the book, and he disappeared. Now I've found the book, I'm going to touch the book, and I'm going to disappear from wherever I am, this starry expanse, into the island. And that's where the game begins. Now, realMyst Masterpiece Edition can be played two ways. The classic way is the way we're going to stay for most of the game, in that everything is going to be controlled by the mouse. If you want to look up, you would move the mouse up. If you want to look down, you move the mouse down, and the hand will change to point in that coordinated direction. And if you can turn that way, you'll do it. Now, at certain points for certain achievements, which this newest version has, you may have to go into free play mode for a second, but most of it, just playing Classic Myst, you will get a good visual approximation of what playing the original game was like. There's not a lot of benefit for playing in free play mode, because it would only make it more difficult to see the puzzles in each area. There's a bunch of menu things, a new flashlight ability, save and restores. Settings are quite a lot more settings as far as visual quality and all of that versus any of the previous versions. And here we go. We start right here. So, like I said, if you want to look left, the arrow will change. If you want to look up, the arrow will point up. Want to look right, want to look down. Press escape for the main menu. So if I want to look up, though, I can't click up because there was no up in the original game. No reason to look at the screen. On the left here, you get a slight transition animation, which originally Myst was just a slideshow of pre-rendered images, so no transitions at all. A lot of the graphics quality has been majorly improved. I'm not going to get too much into that because that was the comparison video we just made. And if you want to walk forward, that's just the up arrow. So you're just left on this island. That's where you start with that intro. No real help. This is absolutely not the way you'd start a game in modern times. You'd have tutorial after tutorial. You'd have things telling you what to do. If I needed help, I could hit escape for the main menu, so that's kind of what it's telling me. And then over here on the question mark, I could go through this web browser and search the solution, but I don't need help because I've played this game, although it was a long time ago, so I may have forgotten a lot of things. So we find this letter, and this is where the story starts to begin. Catherine, I've left for you a message of utmost importance in our four chamber besides the dock. Enter the number of marker switches on the island into the imager to retrieve the message. Yours, Atrus. So, like, couple of buzzwords there. Four chamber near the dock. We know what a dock is, and we assume that's what that is. We assume this is the four chamber, that door. Well, I know it's that, but you could certainly also have thought that maybe this was the four chamber, uh, or the four chamber might be the building right over here. So why that is specifically called the chamber, four chamber, I don't know. And then island switches. So there's one here, if we assume that's an island switch. Let's see if we can run around this island and count them all. There's one here. Actually, let's turn them all on while we're doing that too, because I believe turning them all on helps. Let's see. All of this, you just would have to figure stuff out. So number 3 here, we have interactive help here with the arrows indicating whether you can click and drag up and down. So if I come over here and look at this map, you can see these areas are starting to light up. That's because the switches are enabled. And there's an interaction you can do with these things, but I don't want to do that quite yet. But I suppose we would probably at this point run into the story here. We've got these books, and it shows us these videos that I believe are from the original game, so that's why they're so small. I kind of wish they were re-recorded in a giant, like, full size of the book. And then we have the red pages. So we click and drag it on the book, and it magically gets added to the book.
Why?
I don't know. Who am I?
Bring me a red. I can't see. I need a red page, you must. Bring. I am serious. Giving up.
So, alright. So that was rather long, and I didn't understand most of that. I got basically find me the red pages and rescue me. That's all I got. And then we've got a blue book over here. The red pages and the blue pages are the main collectibles of this game. They're what we're going to be looking all throughout the game to find and collect. So you get the nice little starter here with these two people. Put the blue page in the blue book, the red page in the red book.
Sirrus? Is that you? Who are you? See you. Nah. Help me. Bring me blue pages. Never, never. Pages. I must have the blue page. Bring them to me.
What's got me interested is I wonder how 20 years ago they made these videos so badly. How would you, without digital effects, add that noise? Interesting. I don't know how you would do it. Anyways, so that guy wants the blue pages, the other guy wants the red pages. They both don't know who I am and ask me who am I, and I don't know who I am. I'm not sure if the series of Myst games ever really explain particularly who you are, which is an old trope in video games, certainly. You were the nameless protagonist with no backstory or anything like that. So I flip one more switch there, and that will fill in this map some more. See, tower rotation now is filled in, and you can see the dock section is filled in. So your first bit of this puzzle, you're not really in a really constricted area. This is the whole island, most of it at least, is accessible right at the beginning. You just have to figure out that you're supposed to flip the switches upward. Now, there is a secondary puzzle here, obviously with all the buttons and stuff, and we'll start to see the puzzles get a little bit more obvious after you cross this one. That in this area over here on the right is another puzzle in there. Right here is another puzzle, but I can't reach that one, so we can't turn them all on. So that's one right there that we need to add up into our count, because we'll have to figure out the correct number, or at least brute force it. Turn that one. We can go in here. Here you notice it's quite dark with the new engine, so can I turn on the flashlight with the F button? Yes, I can. It's quite dark in here. A lot darker than it would be normally. Here's a safe we'll need a combination for. This is a big puzzle area. Let's see, over there. This way. So we see 3 here, 4. That's right. There. 5. 6, 7, 8. It seems like there's 8. So let's go try 8. I would assume 8's the right number. If it's not, I would bump it up to 9. If it's not 9, I'd bump it down to 7. And if it's not 7, I'd start going 10 and higher. Probably not 6. I don't think I'd miscount that much. Flashlight again. Why is this called the 4-chamber? I don't know. There's a really good music in this game. So it's a 3D holographic thing that doesn't go off anymore. In other versions of the game, when you click the button, it would automatically go off. Let's see. And slight spoiler alert, there's another button on the back. But it doesn't do anything. However, we can see there's a note over here. A lot of these parts would you would just find them. So these numbers are laid out quite usefully. You can go 40, which is what it is now, to 47, to 67. Easily. Add 7 here, add 2 here. Topographical extrusion test is 40, so let's click this. This is at 67, by the way, which is the water turbulent pool. That's what it is by default. So we could switch down to 47, and it should show us a map of the markers. Here it is off. So it's like if you needed to know what the marker looks like. Now you can right click here and look with the right click as much as you want, but when you let go of the right click in classic mode, it just swings you right back to a locked angle of view. That one does nothing. So if you didn't know what the switch markers were, you would at least have a hint here that would tell you, now this is what a marker switch looks like, and then that helps a little bit. So now switch this down to 40. And it shows you a topographical extrusion test, which this kind of looks like what the island might have been like originally, Myst, but that doesn't make a lot of sense. And several things we learn, or at least I think I know about the Myst series, it wouldn't make sense that this world had to be created that way. Well, I hit a button back here and it just changed something over here. Let's go see what that is. Maybe it's an Easter egg. Let's see. A rocket ship and a dowel here, which I can turn this way now. And see, it was like the cyan logo right here is what it is. And now it can turn like this. I believe this is a secret extra thing for realMyst, and probably doesn't have much to do with what we're doing right now. Just found like an Easter egg. So we think there are 8. Isn't that what I said? I played a different sound. So let's see if that's worked.
Catherine, my love, I have to leave quickly. Something terrible has happened. It's hard for me to believe. Most of my books have been destroyed. Catherine, it's one of our sons. I suspect Agonal, but I shouldn't leap to conclusions. I'll find him and Sirrus as well. Oh, I should have known better than to have left my library unchecked for so long. Well, I've removed the remaining undamaged books from the library and placed them in their places of protection. You shouldn't have to use the books until I return, but if you've forgotten the access keys, remember the tower rotation. And don't worry, Catherine, everything will be fine. I'll see you shortly. Oh, and erase this message after you've viewed it, just to be safe.
So, pretty much now you have no reason to believe either one of the red book or the blue book people at all, unless you just don't believe this guy, which is a possibility. I'm trying to see if I can really erase it. I don't think I can.
Catherine, my love, I have to leave quickly. Something terrible has happened. It's hard for me to believe. Most of my books have been destroyed. Catherine, it's one of our sons. I suspect Agonal, but I shouldn't leap to conclusions. I'll find him and Sirrus as well. Oh, I should have known better than to have left my library unchecked for so long. Well, I've removed the remaining undamaged.
I think... Yeah, I don't think there's a way to actually erase it. Interesting. So, yeah, unless you just didn't believe him, you kind of now know that either one or the other of the boys destroyed his books, which we don't really know how important that is quite yet, but it is quite important, and we should be very suspicious of them. However, since this game just throws you into this puzzle world, you don't have much of a choice. There's really nothing more that you could do. Who Catherine is, we don't really know. In fact, this story really doesn't do much. I can tell you it's their mother, but that's it. Here's a Tiana. I don't know who that is, but there's an achievement for looking at this. See, I wish if somebody knows let us know in the comments who Tiana is. But we've got books now that will take us to other places, like the book we found takes us to other places. Here we can see this doorway was not here before. So this is what we opened. This is a secret, like, Easter egg area, I believe. It takes you down this way, and this I don't believe was ever here. And then there's a combination that you would have to put in, and we can't do that right now. In fact, we probably won't be able to do it until the very end. So I've played a little too thoroughly in the game. It is a little weird the way this works. See, I wish the flashlight would sense how bright or dark it was outside and come on automatically. Then I also wish this game had controller support, but even with the mouse and keyboard support, that's not very good. Mouse is the best it's gonna get. I really wish they made a new Myst where it was the same story and just all new puzzles. But easier puzzles, better thought out puzzles. I think that in particular would be the most appropriate way to do it. Uh, I think that that might be maybe what Abduction is. Abduction being the new game from Cyan. So you've got this tower rotation map, and you can just click here, and it locks on red ones. So if I start with this one, that's an interesting thought. Which one do I want to start with? Let's start with the one that it would have hit by default. That'll take us to that way. Here we can see some things are spinning. We can hear some things are spinning. And deal with that. As you can see, here are the books he's talking about, all burnt. One would assume that they can magically transport you, or they could have magically transported you to all kinds of places. That's quite a few places. This is a book talking about one of the ages, but it's not a magical linking book. Instead, it's a journal of a world called Channelwood. This is one about another world, and in fact, solutions to puzzles are even hidden in there. So a few of these aren't burnt, but they don't matter. And see, spoilers alert, it could certainly have come. Here's the one about the mechanical age that I should read, but I'm certainly not going to sit here and read them all as it's just too long. We'll address them if I need them. And somewhere around here is not that one. One of these is the book of puzzles. Here. It's burnt. I haven't played this game in probably 5 years, and I'm not even sure I did it all the way through. So there's a lot of puzzles here that that's a big thing that shows up later. Now, if we go and click here, it will just be the same thing we saw before until we get the next page, which is kind of repetitive, but I mean, you have to have it that way. That's also kind of confusing. Is the person in the book there talking to me and saying the exact same thing, or is there some kind of time travel connection there, so every time I look in the book it's the first time they ever see me? We can see a bird is flying around. Nice looking bird, nice looking sky, doesn't really have much to do with anything. You can see that though is the tower, and remember Atrus said that the tower combinations will help me solve all the puzzles. Why his wife Catherine would need any help doesn't make a lot of sense. But we also have a picture here. We're doing very accelerated thing. I could imagine you would spend an hour just figuring out things. Here's a picture of this, and there's a picture of the same area with the door open. So one with the door closed, one with the door open. When I click on this, it spins, and what happens? The bookcase goes down, and this locks. That's fine. I can always undo it with this. and we go in here. Honestly, I'm not even sure I would have been able to solve all of this game by myself without some sort of help. This was one of those games that was certainly from a time frame in which you would have to get walkthrough strategy guides, call helplines, do all kinds of stuff like that. They like to make games really hard because you could typically only afford one game every few months, and thus it needed to last a long time. Plus, they couldn't make games as long as a modern game can be. So we're in the library, we take the elevator. There's no way to turn around here. In fact, I can't even right click and look around. Like, I'm right clicking right now. That's not working. Tower. I'm glad so we see a book here, and man, it is dark. A key here. I don't think it should be this dark, honestly. And we have 240 221. So a time showing up. It's almost spooky. Now this isn't a horror game. There's never going to be a jump scare or anything like that. So take that as my promise to you. Let's go up here. But it is rather spooky looking. And what do I see here? I swear I don't see anything. Either it's not rendering properly, or I'm not supposed to see anything. 240 222. Interesting. Book and key. Just brick here. These things are slightly rotating. Or it felt like it was rotating at least. Was that 240 221? I really wish the flashlight would just activate automatically. Alright. We see a big clock as soon as we walk out. So there's actually two places where where time makes an important play in the game, or at least in this island. 240. There we go. So we can bring this up, and we could come in here, and we'll turn the flashlight on. Or do we want the flashlight? Here's a problem. If we have the flashlight on, it's too much reflective. If we have the flashlight off, it's kind of dark. So we want 221. So that's probably not the right thing. Well, we've got to get that one to 1. think I'm just gonna have to continuously go through this. Ooh, no, because I can't do anymore. There's only so many ways to do it before this handle runs out of options. So each time you pull it, it goes down one. So, 2. I think switching back and forth is the problem. So we know what it is, and unfortunately we just can't spin it. Let's see. It always rotates this way. So if I could have just gotten this top one to 2 and then done that. So like first one, we probably just want that straight to 2, and then see if I could just spin that around again. That would be right. So this, all I need to do is move everything 1 to the right here from this point. So this, and then this, then this, then this, then this, then this, then this, and then this. There's more than 1 2 and more than 1 1 on this thing though, so let's try just twisting this. Well, that would never work, would it? Let's try just twisting this one now. There's a 1 2. So it doesn't probably matter the order though. Let's try 2 here, 2 here, and then 1 here. That didn't work. 2 here, and then 2 here. And then 1 here wouldn't do anything. But I don't think it matters how this goes. I guess it kind of does for the middle one. Let's see, this way, and then this way, and then this way, and then this way, and then maybe this way. There's only so many this could be. Was there a hint? We could certainly go look for one. If I cycle through all of this, I don't think that would ever give me the solution I want. But I imagine if I just could go in circles forever, I would get it. So, this, I mean, the solution's so simple, it's right there. Let's see. Interesting, interesting, interesting. And is there any trick to this? Besides just figuring it out? I don't think there is. Oh, wait a minute. I just figured it out. If you hold it down, in the middle on either one of them, it solves the problem. So, right there. And we have this gear now has opened up. And what is the deal with the gear opening up? Well, there is a giant gear in the previous area, and we hear some music. And it's kind of dark right now. So it's the day-night cycle. I am so surprised about the day-night cycle in this game. So there's a lot of puzzles quite like that one. Well, not quite like that. In fact, they're all very unique puzzles, unlike The Witness, which was a island full of puzzles that were all exactly the same. But I think, I don't know. I could never really in my mind figure out whether I prefer the puzzles in The Witness, a game that came out in 2016, versus the puzzles in Myst, a game that came out in 1993. I think that's when it came out. So this gear has opened, and we see a book. And unlike the books that we have seen up to this point, it's not a journal with entries in it. It is a linking book. So to the new world we will soon go. Let's watch all the animation, because it is good looking animation. I imagine what this has been re-rendered, and only the cutscenes with the people in it are from the original game, and they may have been touched up. This is called the Mechanical Age, as you might guess with the gears. It's a very cool artistic style. You're getting an overview, like a crow's eye view of the island, which helps you get an idea of the world and understand what you're going to deal with when you get there. Now, the fact that it's called the Mechanical Age brings up the question that I really wish somebody could answer in the comments too. Is this a different time in the same planet as the place I'm standing right now on the Myst Island or the Myst World, whatever it is? Is the Mechanical Age a different time? Is it a different world? Is it a different dimension? Is it fictional or is it real? Was it created by whoever made this book, or did this world always exist? It's kind of hard to believe that the world always existed because it looks so weird, but that's not to say anything, because what we're seeing may very well have just been constructed. It may have originally just been a water planet with an island or two, and they built on top of that. You can see it's going in circles, so let's load. I thought it might end, but no, it's a nice complete loop. That sound when you link, that is a sound I've learned to love over the years. So it looks like we're in the same place, except for the book is missing now. But we're not. We are now in a new place. Unfortunately, the book should have been here to get back. We're trapped. Sad to say. It's not game over or anything. Look at this plant. Look at the control you have. You can make the shadows of the moving plant. That's some pretty ambitious graphics rendering you got there. Until we can find some combinations, we won't know what to do there. Let's see. Different symbols, not the numbers we've been used to seeing. And here's the gears. And we can walk here, but there's nothing to walk to. Interesting. It's so dark. I wish you could turn that off. Really, can you turn it off is the question. It's like, if we go over here to the advanced settings, sun shafts, nope, there is no way to turn off the appearance. So when it is nighttime, it will be dark. No way to avoid it. Almost a decent idea, if that's going to be the case, to, if I'm ending a recording, take a break and not play in the dark. A lot of these things look really dark. They didn't look quite this dark in my memory. So we are in a weird room. There's a door here, there's a throne here, and let's see what this is here. Forced rotation simulator. Interesting. Fortress rotation simulator. Simulator calibrating. So we've got to learn how this thing works. Doesn't seem like it does anything. Interesting. Gotta get that flashlight up. See, we see swords and medieval thing, pieces of wood, a throne, And in this throne we have a head of, what is this? A human? A butterfly, some swords. We have what looks like a window that has been blocked off and some weapons. What's this? A snake. Interesting. So whoever's throne room this isn't a particularly welcoming throne room. This is the kind of throne room you would expect from a possibly psychopath. Now I think there's an achievement. If I do this enough times, I'll break this little jack-in-the-box. But I don't know how many I'd have to do, and that you can see that seems like a lot. Maybe there's a different jack-in-the-box you have to break. I can't interact with it because these are nothing more than little animations, little toys, I think is what they call them. You see that concept got used a lot in video games for decades afterwards. You would run into some small object that had been mostly just custom made to play with. It didn't have any real point or reason or rhyme to be in the game, but it made the world feel more alive. Last chance. Must be another jack-in-the-box besides the snake. So we'll move on. Now, one thing I do know is an achievement though is if we come over to the menu and we go to free roam for a moment, our first free roam achievement happens when we decide to sit in the stone. So it's not particularly easy to do. Here we go. I need to adjust my keyboard. There's no like jump button or anything. You can see there's a sword here. Like none of the keys in this mode, WASD and all of that. So maybe I got the achievement already, maybe not. In free roam you can see this curtain is up, covering something that way. So we'll just stick to free roam. Here's a good example of why I just don't feel like it's worth it to play this game in free roam. You just are going to add this level of shakiness to the game. Something I just don't want. This is some central location that's not open. That light is lighting things up. Honestly, I don't feel like there's enough light sources that were originally in this game to justify to have everything as bright as it probably is, but you kind of just need to fake it in old games like that. You just need this dim light bulb to be so bright it lights things up for no reason. So here's the other throne room. You have a picture of, I believe, Louis the 14th or Louis the 4th, maybe one of Louis, And look, when I clicked on it this time, I am now sitting in the chair. So we got the achievement that time. You have Chess, a Game of Kings. So this is, to not spoil it completely, this is where the kids spent at least some of their time, the two brothers. And they both saw themselves as kings of their own little castles. And in a lot of ways they are, because they're given entire worlds to do whatever they want with here. I think this might be the wind-up toy that you get the achievement for. So if I sit here and it does that, yeah, that's it. So that, of course, doesn't really affect what we're actually shooting for. Here's a rocket ship that we saw. Here's a boat that we saw. Here's a picture of another queen. This area too is dark, so I think there's a metal dome around these slots that we need to deal with first. Here's the clock we saw. Here is 3 gems that light up when I click on them. Probably something to do with that. When we look in the telescope, I don't think we see anything. Nope. And if I turn on the flashlight, I don't see anything. So there's a lot of puzzles we've got to figure out before we do anything more. I believe there's a secret passage right there. Yep. Just like the other brother. And so that's a nice carpet. Much more inviting throne room. Definitely not full of weapons and such. Still kind of just playing at being a king though. I mean, these are certainly not symbols of generosity. They're symbols of massive wealth and opulence. It's just they're a lot better in comparison to the symbols of death and destruction that we saw in the weapons. Now if we go back here though, and go back to Classic Myst, let's just, and while we're here, we'll also save because we're about to wrap up. Let's see, just drag it. Ooh, that's nice. It's an interesting way to make somebody save. It's kind of pointless. So how do you see it in Classic Myst? Pretty much the same. It's just every single way you can direct yourself is very specifically thought out and not just a random thing. And when you're walking, when you click to walk, you're not in a jittery head bobbing style. This is outside, and this is way too dark. This is way too dark. This is what I wanted to show people in the comparison. It's like, come on, game. If we go back, turn off this, go to free roam mode, and we look straight up. Yes, we can see stars, but we cannot see anything else here. We cannot, and there's just no fixing it. There's no fixing just how ridiculously dark this game is because of the day-night cycle. The only suggestion I can make to anybody would be to do what I'm probably gonna do, which is just leave it. Just leave it and wait until the day comes back. You can't move time forward. You can't do anything else. Which is a pain and silly. Really, really silly. You would think somewhere here there would be something you could do to turn the day-night cycle off, but there isn't. So, that all being said, we have played for an hour, and that's good enough for me. We've made a decent amount of progress uh, in this first hour, mostly just equating ourselves to the worlds, equating ourselves to the idea. Equating, is that a real world? Maybe I'm trying to say acquiescing. Yeah. Anywho, that's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of my videos. All of that helps out. If you want to support me even further, you can click on my name, Rydo. On the right will be a blue button that says support this channel. Click it, make a donation. Also, by clicking on my name, Rydo, that takes you to my main YouTube page. You can click the playlist tab and see a playlist for every game I've ever covered. I would highly suggest checking out the playlist for The Witness. You now know at least the basics of Myst, and you will at least have some appreciation on how influenced The Witness is by Myst. Of course, you could also wait until you see this whole series and then go watch The Witness either way. There's plenty of other games that aren't about islands or puzzles and that have playlists too, so check those out. And then down below in the description box, I have links to all my social media sites. So Facebook, friend me on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, friend me on Steam, friend me on Battle.net. All those links are down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.